What you never knew about Africa's true history. How much do you know about Africa before the colonial powers arrived and before the transatlantic slave trade? Was it truly a dark continent, backward and primitive? Or was it a land of wealth, advanced civilization, and flourishing trade? These are questions many don't even think to ask. But here's the danger. If we don't challenge the harmful myths that Africa had no history before European arrival, we continue to believe a distorted narrative that not only diminishes Africa's past, but also shapes our understanding of the continent's struggles today. What if I told you that ignoring this truth leaves us vulnerable to misconceptions that have long-lasting consequences? Even worse, it keeps us from fully appreciating Africa's resilience and potential in the present. Watch until the end, because today, we'll dive deep into the real history of Africa, the glorious societies before colonization, the devastation that followed, and how Africa is recovering from centuries of exploitation. By the end, you'll see Africa in a whole new light. Section 1. Pre-colonial African Empires and Kingdoms. 1. The Mali Empire. The Mali Empire 13th–16th century was known for its wealth, particularly in gold. Under the reign of Mansa Musa, it reached global fame. Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324 is still considered the most extravagant in history, where he flooded local economies with so much gold that it caused inflation. 2. The Songhai Empire. The Songhai Empire 15th–16th century replaced Mali as the dominant West African power, controlling the lucrative trans-Saharan trade routes. Songhai was known for its military strength and its educational centers like Timbuktu, where scholars from all over came to study mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. 3. Great Zimbabwe. In southern Africa, Great Zimbabwe flourished with its famous stone architecture and advanced trade networks with the Swahili coast and beyond. It was a center for gold trade with connections to the Indian Ocean world. If you want more about Africa's greatest kingdom, go to my channel for more. Section 2. Africa's global trade networks. 1. Trans-Saharan trade routes. West African empires like Mali and Songhai controlled the trans-Saharan trade routes, where gold, salt, and slaves were exchanged with North Africa and Europe. These routes were essential in connecting Africa to the broader Mediterranean economy. 2. The Swahili coast trade. The Swahili city-states along East Africa's coast were central to the Indian Ocean trade network. From cities like Kilwa, gold, ivory, and spices were traded with merchants from Arabia, Persia, and India. Section 3. Cultural richness and diversity. 1. Language and oral traditions. Africa's linguistic diversity is unparalleled. Before colonization, over 2,000 languages were spoken. Oral traditions played a central role in preserving history, law, and customs. 2. Art and religion. African art, from the bronze sculptures of Benin to the Timbuktu manuscripts, reflected both spiritual beliefs and cultural values. Religion was often a blend of ancestral worship and nature-based spirituality. Section 4. African scholarship and learning. 1. Timbuktu, the center of knowledge. Timbuktu was one of the most important academic cities of the medieval world. Its scholars contributed to knowledge in fields ranging from astronomy to medicine. Section 5. Political structures and governance. 1. The Ashanti Kingdom. The Ashanti Empire in West Africa was a centralized kingdom known for its powerful military and intricate governance system. Its rulers maintained control through a highly organized system of local chiefs and councils. 2. Igbo democracy. In contrast to the Ashanti monarchy, the Igbo people practiced a decentralized form of governance where village councils made communal decisions. Section 6. The devastation of colonialism and slavery. 1. The slave trade. The transatlantic slave trade led to the forcible removal of millions of Africans, devastating societies across the continent. Entire communities were destroyed, and Africa's economy shifted to human exploitation. 2. Colonization. With the Berlin Conference of 1884, European powers carved Africa into colonies. Traditional governance structures were dismantled, and the continent's wealth was siphoned to Europe. Section 7. The impact of colonialism and slavery today. 1. Economic challenges. African nations still struggle with the economic instability left by European exploitation. The extraction of resources left many regions impoverished and dependent on foreign aid. 2. Cultural reclamation. Despite the challenges, African countries are actively reclaiming their history and culture, rebuilding pride in their pre-colonial past. Conclusion: the road ahead. Africa's history of greatness before colonization and the devastation it endured through slavery and exploitation are part of a complex narrative. But it's not just a story of the past, it's also about the present and future. Africa's journey of resilience, recovery, and hope continues. And as we learn more about this history, we open ourselves to a fuller understanding of what Africa was, is, and can be. Stay tuned, because the story of Africa's rebirth is just